I, 39, female, have been married to my husband, Kyle, for the past 2 years, and we were in a relationship for 3 years before that. So for almost 5 years, we've been together, and we recently celebrated our second wedding anniversary by hosting a dinner party for our family and friends. But at that party, I was left feeling completely humiliated by my stepdaughter, Hannah, and it came out of nowhere. Because I've known his family, his parents like me, and I thought that even Hannah was fine with me. Of course, I never intended on becoming a replacement for her mother or anything of that sort. I just wanted to be friends with her. But when she made it clear that we would only have a civil relationship because of her father, but nothing else, I respected that too, because she has had a hard life. My parents got divorced when she was 10 years old, and her mom passed away just 8 months after my husband and I started dating from an aneurysm in her sleep. It came out of nowhere, and it was a huge shock for all of us, especially her. So even though she's never been very warm or welcoming towards me, I have respected that, and I've tried to deal with it because I know it's probably hard for her to see her dad with me and not have the comfort of a mother around. And hence, I would say that we are fine with each other's company. We don't hate each other. So that's why the comment that she made at the party was completely unnecessary and unexpected. From her, of all people. What happened was that while we were all chatting, she took it upon herself to make a speech, and I was very happy about it because I thought that maybe she was finally being more accepting of me. And maybe she was going to say good things about me. I was also expecting that because I had spoken to Kyle and he wanted me to cover her college situation for now and had said that he would pay me back later because right now his business wasn't doing too well. So he needed to focus on that. He needed to put a lot of money back into the business to make it work. And he didn't want Hannah to take out a student loan in any case. Even if she did, he wanted me to be the co-signer. So I was basically her ticket to college for now. I thought that Kyle hadn't told her, but when she said that she was going to propose a toast, I thought she was going to thank me for it because maybe Kyle had told her. So I went into it with very different expectations compared to what really happened. Anyway, she started off strongly, congratulating us both and saying that she was happy that we had managed to be together for so long and continue to love each other the same way that we did when we first started out. That was nice enough, but then she started saying that it was good and surprising to see that her father could actually try and make it work with somebody, even through all the fights and disagreements. It started to take a really weird turn, and Kyle tried to stop her from going on, but she just didn't care. She went on to talk about her parents' personal business, about how they used to fight a lot before the divorce. And she had always believed that if my dad really genuinely tried, he would have been able to sort things out with her mom. But he didn't try enough, and that's why he ended up getting divorced from her. And now she finds it weird that even though we also fight, he always comes around and makes it up to me, the way that he never did with her mom. And then she went on to say that she doesn't understand this kind of behavior. She just doesn't understand how he decided to get married to me after being with her mother, because I am an obvious downgrade from her mom. As if that was not hurtful enough, she went on to say that I was obviously not as beautiful, not as intelligent, so she's never going to be able to understand how her father chose to be with me. She ended by addressing me directly and saying that I should count myself lucky that her mom's not around anymore, because if she were, I wouldn't even have stood a chance against her. And that was it. She walked off after that and went up to her room, and when she passed near me, I realized that she literally reeked of alcohol. Obviously, there were drinks at the party, and I guess we were not careful enough. So she must have been able to swipe one bottle because that's what we found in the storeroom later. Anyway, this is what she said, but I can't exactly say that she was totally drunk. She was just a little inebriated and tipsy at best, so it's not like she was not in her senses at all. She wanted to say those things, which is why she said it. And that's why I don't believe the defense that she and her father have been putting up. The only reason she's even apologizing right now is because Kyle told her that I was going to pay for her to go to college. And now I'm not going to do that anymore because she totally humiliated me at the party and called me a downgrade, for God's sake. I can't accept something like that. And I definitely cannot pretend that it never happened and move on with my life. I'll never be able to forget how humiliated I felt at the party and how we had to cut it short after her little speech, because literally everyone felt too awkward to be around us anymore. Because of Kyle, I did not say anything to her that day itself. And then the next day, before I even woke up, she was gone, since she and her father had decided that it would be best for her to stay with her maternal grandparents for a while, as of now. So I never got a chance to speak to her directly, and I didn't even receive the apology from her until 2 whole days later. And by then, obviously, she had had every chance to speak to Kyle and have a proper discussion with him. And I'm sure that he's the one who convinced her to apologize to me, because otherwise she wouldn't be able to make it to college this year, since I wouldn't pay for her and neither would I co-sign the loan. So she has apologized, but I know that it's not a genuine one. And even if it was, I don't really care right now. After whatever happened, I don't want to support her in any way at this point, because like I said, in the beginning itself, I've always tried to be civil. I've always tried to be understanding of whatever she's been through and respectful of what she wanted. But clearly, she couldn't extend the same courtesy to me. I can understand that she's never liked the fact that Kyle chose to move on and be with me after his divorce. And in all probability, even if I had been objectively better than her mom in every aspect, she still wouldn't have liked me or believed that I was better. Here's the thing though, I've never tried to compete with that woman. I've never even known her enough to try and do that. And I've definitely never tried to replace Kyle's ex in his life. I'm a different person altogether. I have never tried to be Hannah's mom either, so I don't understand why, even after so long, she still can't seem to accept me. And even if she can't, the least that she could have done was just be civil to me the way she has been so far. But this speech just ruined everything. I can't forgive and forget. I just can't. She and her father have been practically begging me to reconsider my stance on the whole thing. But I've made up my mind already, and last evening, Kyle and I got into a huge fight over this, and he told me I was being cruel and heartless, and it was just a little mistake that I should be able to forgive as an adult, because Hannah has been through a lot, and it bubbled up in an ugly way, and that's it. So I should be more forgiving of that instead of being so horrible about the whole thing. But I don't agree with that. I don't think I'm under any obligation anymore. I'm just not sure if it makes me cruel and heartless like he claims. And because I don't want to talk to anybody else about this at the moment, here I am. What do you guys make of this? AITA for not wanting to pay for my stepdaughter to go to college after she called me a downgrade at my anniversary party and humiliated me in front of everyone? Update 1. Hi, so first and foremost, I would like to thank everybody who commented on my post and gave me advice that I needed to hear. It's been a couple of days since I posted, and since our fight, Kyle and I have not been speaking to each other. It has been difficult because obviously we live under the same roof, so it's quite awkward. But there's nothing I can do about it, because one thing is for sure, this is not my fault. I have made many allowances. I just can't keep doing it over and over again. I had mentioned everything in my original post about how Hannah has never really been one for welcoming me into the family, and I have always put up with it. I wouldn't even mind it if it were not for the fact that I was always expected to treat her like family, like my own daughter, and I always have, no questions asked. Even though she's never made me feel welcome, I've always tried my very best to treat her the way I would my own family. After her mom's passing, her custody arrangement obviously changed. While her mom was still around, she would spend 4 days of the week with her mom and the rest with Kyle. After her passing, she started spending most of the week with us, and on the weekends she would visit her grandparents, and throughout the week, because I would come back home from work earlier than Kyle, she and I would be home alone together for a while before he came back. And I always tried to talk to her and get to know her, but she always shut me down. This went on for quite a few months, and even after Kyle and I got married, this was her behavior towards me. But because I know that it was important for Kyle to see me and her get along well, I put in as much effort as I could. I planned birthday parties for her occasionally. I would try to pick up dishes that I knew she liked. I learned her likes and dislikes in the first place, and basically, I just did everything that I thought I should do in order to win her over. And at some point in time, it stopped being about Kyle and started to be about why on earth could she just not accept me. It's not like I was suffocating her or anything. I was just trying to put in an effort from afar, and I thought that at some point in time it should work. But she never grew to like me, and I think after what happened recently, it's okay for me to say that I've had enough. She's not a child. She's almost an adult, and she knows what she's doing. So if this is the way she wants to behave with me, then fine. She can be my guest. But for her or Kyle to expect me to continue supporting her and trying to win her over even after all this, it's just foolish. That's entitlement I speak of, and I'm not going to support or sit back down and take it anymore. And I think that's the thing that Kyle cannot accept. The fact that I'm not willing to put up with his daughter's nonsense anymore. Over the years, he has seen firsthand how much I've tried to get her to like me, but it's never worked. If she still believes that I'm the reason why her parents are not together, then cool. She can go on believing that. Even though her parents had been having trouble and got divorced long before Kyle even met me, she wants a scapegoat to blame because she's not ready to accept the fact that her parents were just not good for each other. And unfortunately, because of my involvement in all of this, I am the scapegoat for now. But you know what? It's fine. I don't care anymore. I'm done trying to live up to her or Kyle's expectations. I just don't want to do this anymore. And at the end of the day, she's really not my daughter. Whatever I did it because I thought that I would be able to form a relationship with her at some point in time. But she has rejected me over and over again. And I'm done. I didn't even want to be her mother in the first place. I just want to be a friend. But she doesn't want to let me have that place in her life either. And that's totally cool. It's her prerogative. But now, it's my choice not to support her financially, since she has made it very clear to me that we are not family and she doesn't like me. She made it clear to me publicly, so now she can't take it back. Apologizing to me in person is pointless. The disrespect was loud and clear. The apology should be too. And unless it is, I'm not going to be accepting it. Besides, she has her father, and even if Kyle's business is not going well at this point in time, I'm sure that her grandparents will be able to help her out right now. If not, too bad. But I'm not taking on this responsibility. I'm done with all of this. And if Kyle doesn't want to talk to me simply because I'm choosing to take a stand for myself, then I'm done with him too. I have tried my patience with his family. I can't keep all this up anymore. Update 2. Hey everybody, so it's been 1 week since I posted my last update. And in the meantime, for a while, I thought that Kyle would talk to me and try to sort things out, but he didn't. So after 3 days of waiting, I decided to go and live with my parents for a while because I've had enough, and they were there at the party too. They saw exactly what happened firsthand. And they had been very worried about me, so I decided to go and spend some time with them because I really needed to take some time apart. When I left, I informed Kyle of where I was going, and that was the first time that we had spoken after the fight. At that point in time, I guess he finally realized that this was serious. He couldn't just give me the silent treatment and expect me to be fine with it. Maybe that might have worked in his previous marriage, but I'm not that kind of person. I don't roll with this kind of thing, and I know that this is a tactic from his previous marriage because he told me about it. That's exactly what his ex used to do to him, and I remember him telling me that he used to find it very annoying, so he wouldn't apologize, and they would end up not speaking to each other for weeks until somebody finally broke, and usually that would be for something related to Hannah. But right now, we don't have anything to discuss. We can get by just fine without talking to each other. However, like I said, I don't work like that. So anyway, I decided to talk to him and tell him where I was going. And I thought that he was not going to be bothered. But thankfully, I was wrong, because as soon as I told him, he immediately started telling me that he was really sorry and that he was going to try his best to make things work. But all he would ask of me was not to leave, and he was on the verge of divorce when he was requesting me not to go. So I knew he really meant it, because he's not one for crying, and neither am I. But at that point in time, both of us felt like we were about to break down. Because honestly, this is one of the biggest fights that we have ever had in the entire course of our relationship. And by the time we finally spoke, we hadn't been talking to each other for quite some time. So there were a lot of pent-up emotions, which when we finally did talk, came out all at once. And we did end up breaking down. He kept apologizing, and he told me that he knew that it was not my fault. But he was just very upset because he didn't know how else to deal with this, and he was very frustrated with how the situation had turned out. Then he went down to tell me literally everything that had happened since the party, because obviously I have not been in touch with Hannah, so I don't know what's going on with her. Anyway, he told me the night of the party he had told me not to talk to her because clearly she was not in the right state of mind. I had obliged. I left her alone, even though I had half a mind to go to her room and really tell her what I thought of her little stunt, because I was that furious. And yet, I let it go that day because I thought that the next day we would be able to talk in a more civilized manner. But by then, she was already gone. And Kyle told me he had arranged for her to be gone by the time I woke up. And Hannah had actually put up a fight because she didn't want to go. She said that she wanted to stay and she wanted to confront me in the morning, even though she was the one who had done something wrong, and if anything, I should be the one doing the confronting. Anyway, he did not want any trouble between the two of us because he didn't want to make the situation worse. So he sent her to live with her grandparents for a couple of days. She was not happy about that, and she kept insisting that she had to come back, and started trying to emotionally manipulate him, saying that this was basically him choosing me over her, his own daughter, when in reality he was just trying to bring the situation under control. Anyway, after a point in time, he told her all about the college situation and how I was supposed to be the one to take care of it, but now all of that was in doubt. And just as I had believed, that was actually what got her to see that apologizing to me would be in her best interest. So clearly she didn't actually mean it. She just wanted me to finance her college situation. That's it. She was upset with Kyle, but she still went ahead and sent me an apology, hoping that I would accept it and not read too much into the situation, but that didn't happen. And since I refused to forgive her and have maintained that I'm not going to help her out, it's been Kyle who has been facing the music from both ends. Hannah is understandably upset with him because he hadn't told her about any of this. She didn't even know that he was not going to be able to pay for her to go to college right now, and she might have to take out a student loan. So after I refused to accept her apology, she took out her frustration on him and has been refusing to talk to him. That's why he tried to get me to forgive Hannah. But when I refused, he got into a fight with me as well. And since then, neither of us has been speaking to him. And he told me that he's been in a really bad state. And because of how complicated the situation is, after a point, he just simply gave up. He told me that he was frustrated, that he decided he was just not going to talk to either of us because he was so tired of keeping it all together. And he knew that deep down I was also trying, and I had probably even been trying harder than he had. Because at least he was trying to keep his family together. Because it was his daughter and she was nice to him. However, it was not the same for me because I was not biologically related to Hannah. And yet I was trying my best to keep the family together, even though she was never warm towards me at all. But because of his frustration with the situation, he decided that he would not talk to either of us until he himself had cooled off for a bit. Unfortunately, that took a little too long. And by then, I had decided to go stay with my parents for some time. And even though we had talked things out in the end, I decided I really needed some time and space apart from this whole situation because I needed to cool off. I told him the past couple of days have been very hard for me as well, and probably even harder given how hurt I've been in the past couple of years. It's all coming to the surface altogether. I thought that he would put up a fight against me leaving, and I was prepared to argue with him, but instead, he told me that he could totally understand, and he said that he was really sorry for having even put me in a position like that, and said that he should have intervened much earlier rather than letting things fester until now. He told me that he thought maybe at some point in time Hannah would come around, which is why he never interfered in our relationship or told her off, because he was afraid that it would end up pushing her away from me even more. But he never thought that she would end up acting like this at any point. He said that he was genuinely sorry about everything that I've gone through and told me that he would deal with the situation and that I didn't need to worry. And I could go spend some time with my parents because he knows that that would make me feel better. So yeah, I'm living with my parents for a while and we are trying to talk things out. That's where things are right now. But I don't know what's going to happen with Hannah. Update 3. Hey, so it's been a week and a half since I've been staying with my parents, and last evening I decided that I was finally ready to go home. To be honest, I've been ready for a while, but I just wanted to stay a little more with my parents because it's been very comforting and relaxing to have them around. But I think it's time to go back. So this morning, I decided to surprise Kyle at home by showing up unannounced. And he was just about to leave for work at the time. So he was quite surprised, but he was equally happy. We've been in touch over the past couple of days. We've been talking to each other on the phone, sorting things out. And he's even visited me at my parents' house a couple of days ago for dinner. The first time it was a bit awkward, but then I knew that I wanted to make it work with him. And he knows that as well. So we got over it, and so did my parents. Anyway, when I showed up today, he decided to take a day off from work so we could spend the day together. He told me everything about what has been going on with him and Hannah. He said that he hadn't mentioned it earlier because I hadn't asked, and given the circumstances, he thought that it would be best for him to wait it out until I did ask. And then he would inform me about everything. Well, good move, I would say. So coming to Hannah, he told me that after we spoke, he decided to try and sort things out with her as well. But she was not receptive. In the past couple of days, he's tried to visit her, he's tried to talk to her, and he has even tried to call her from different numbers, but she's just not willing to speak to him. Even when he visited her at his ex-in-law's place, they informed him very coldly that she was not willing to see him, and she didn't even come down from her room to talk to him. She had her grandparents tell him that she had sorted out the whole thing with her college expenses, and her maternal grandparents would be covering the cost of it. And they expected him to pay them back soon enough. He was fine with it because he had the same deal with me as well, so that was not a problem. And he was already expecting his business to take off again in a few months. But the fact that Hannah was not even open to talking to him anymore, that's what really hurt him. And he just kept trying until she finally responded to one of his phone calls and told him to leave her alone, because apparently she believes that he has never prioritized her and has always put me first, so she doesn't want anything to do with him anymore. On the phone call, she blamed him for everything that went wrong, saying that he was definitely the reason his previous marriage with her mother did not work out, because he was never willing to put in the effort that he's putting in with me now. I'm not sure if that's 100% true or not, but at the end of the day, I guess she really needs to realize that her parents were not just compatible enough to make it last, and we are. And whatever it is, I don't think it's right to blame her father for all of it. It's not fair to him. She even went on to tell him that she could see that ever since she started dating me, his whole life has started revolving around me, which is, again, not true at all. Anyway, these are the things that she said to him, and she didn't even give him an opportunity to defend himself. She just said that she was done with him, didn't want to talk to him ever again, and hung up and blocked him everywhere. Kyle was obviously very hurt by all this, and he has told me that he's decided to give her some space since she clearly needs it. And I think at this point in time, this is the only thing that he can do, because he has tried enough. And if she still doesn't want to talk to him, then I don't know what else he can do. But I'm still by his side, though, and I always will be. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.